What is the E-3 Sentry doing over Iran right now? When the shooting started between Iran, Israel, and the United States, the first real battle wasn't the strike package, it was the air picture. And right now, the most important aircraft in that war isn't a fighter, it's the E-3 Sentry. But let me say this up front, war is bad. It should be avoided. As a veteran, it's always striking how the loudest voices for military action often never had to wear the uniform. But now that this fight is underway, my focus is simple: the safety of American and partner service members in a very crowded, very dangerous sky. Right now, U.S. forces and regional partners are engaged in active air defense battles across the Gulf. Iran has launched retaliatory missile strikes. Israel is absorbing inbound waves. Gulf host nations are intercepting threats. Bases like Al Udeid in Qatar and installations in Bahrain and the UAE are flashing warning networks. This is not a contained exchange. This is a multi-nation air defense event unfolding in real time. And if you want to understand how this doesn't turn into a regional bar fight with rockets flying in every direction, you start with the E-3 Sentry. The E-3 is the referee, the traffic cop, and the voice on the radio that keeps everyone from shooting at the wrong time. Like, hey, don't shoot that, that is a friendly Navy squid. Hey everyone, Wes O'Donnell here, and thanks for watching this unscheduled video. Hopefully it doesn't screw up my normal algorithm schedule. If you're new here, I served 4 years in the U.S. Army Infantry with the 101st Airborne Division, 2 years in a U.S. Army Civil Affairs unit with a primary focus of Eastern Europe, and 4 years in the United States Air Force where I worked on the radar system of the E-3 Sentry AWACS. Normally, I talk about the Ukraine war and military technology in general, but this is breaking news. So, the E-3 Sentry exists to solve the hardest problems in modern air warfare. Not killing the enemy, understanding the sky. You can have 1,000 shooters, fighters, missile batteries, Navy ships, interceptors. If they don't all share the same picture, you lose. The E-3 takes radar returns from its own massive rotating radar dome and integrates them with inputs from ground radars, naval sensors, fighters, ISR aircraft, and identification systems across the theater. It builds a common air picture. That picture feeds F-15s, F-22s, F-35s, tankers, Navy destroyers, Patriot batteries, THAAD systems, and partner aircraft, all plugged into the network. If Iranian missiles are inbound toward Al Udeid, Bahrain, or Israel, defenders need 3 things very fast: early warning, high-quality tracks, and clear identification. Because in an air environment with multiple waves, friendly aircraft launching, interceptors climbing, tankers dragging racetracks, ISR aircraft repositioning, well, all of that confusion becomes lethal. The E-3 was built for exactly this kind of chaos. Now, a grunt buddy from my Army days pinged me on social media this morning and asked, where does the E-3 Sentry sit in the order of battle? Well, where the E-3 sits is the most important decision nobody on social media ever talks about because it looks boring on a map. But it's not boring, it's physics, threat modeling, logistics math, and political coordination, all compressed into a single oval in the sky. First, radar is line of sight. The higher the E-3 flies, the further it sees. Now that altitude advantage allows it to detect aircraft at long ranges and improve track quality against low flyers. But altitude does not equal invulnerability. If the orbit sits too far forward, you've placed a slow, non-stealthy Boeing 707 inside the engagement envelope of long-range surface-to-air systems or air-to-air missiles. If it sits too far back, you'll lose fidelity on low-altitude cruise missiles and terrain-masked drones. So there is no perfect position, only calculated risk. Then there's the threat ring problem. In a theater like this, planners evaluate long-range SAM coverage, likely fighter intercept corridors, cruise missile trajectories, one-way drone possibilities, and even the risk of adversaries targeting predictable racetrack orbits. An AWACS orbit must be predictable enough for friendly planning and tanker rendezvous, but not predictable enough to become a stationary bullseye. When I was in the Air Force, an old AWACS controller told me a story from the first Gulf War. Iraqi MiGs made a break towards an American E-3 Sentry. F-15s were frantically vectored in and intercepted them before they could fire. The fear is real when you're flying in a Boeing 707 with effectively 0 defensive countermeasures. So the E-3 survives because it's protected, because it stays outside the worst threat envelopes, because fighters sit between it and danger. and because its orbit is constantly adjusted within boundaries. Now, that orbit also has to respect sovereignty, host nation airspace, political permissions, diversion airfields, tanker timing, crew duty limits, maintenance cycles. An orbit only lives if the logistics math works. Too far from tankers and you waste fuel commuting. Too close to tanker tracks and you congest already crowded airspace. The orbit is the backbone of the entire air architecture. When the orbit is stable and coverage is strong, commanders get confident. They push fighters deeper, they run tighter timelines, they execute more complex strike packages. But when coverage degrades, when a relief aircraft is late, when a transmitter goes down and the AWACS has to bug out temporarily, well, confidence drops. Offense slows, defense becomes jumpier. The orbit is not just a location, it's trust. Now, let's zoom in on defensive operations. Right now, Iran is launching multiple waves. Ballistic missiles compress timelines to minutes. Cruise missiles fly low. Drones complicate identification. From the E-3 seat, defensive operations break into urgent repetition. First, warning and coordination. Even if space-based sensors detect ballistic launches, someone has to manage the handoff. Which base is defended, which shooters have engagement authority, which sectors have priority. Second, identification. The sky fills fast. Fighters launch, tankers shift, ISR aircraft reposition, partner aircraft maneuver, friendly fire risks spike. The E-3 manages identification correlation, IFF management, and the constantly updated do not shoot list. Then there's deconfliction. Missile defense is geometry, trigonometry, and timing. I say trigonometry. Interceptors climb into assigned baskets, fighters patrol nearby. You cannot have engagement zones overlapping blindly. You do not want a Patriot battery firing through a friendly fighter's path. Then there's queuing. Now, queuing is exactly like it sounds, putting assets and targets in lines and then prioritizing. If cruise missiles slip low under radar coverage, if drones mix into the noise, the E-3 can vector fighters to sectors where track quality is degrading. Multiple waves increase fatigue. Launchers are reloading. Crews are rotating. All that decision time compresses. That's when mistakes happen. And here's the part some people rarely consider. Even successful intercepts produce debris. Shrapnel falls. If debris causes civilian casualties, you win the intercept, but you'll lose the headline. The AWACS crew is managing not just airspace, they are managing escalation risk. Now you flip that over to offense. The US and Israel have launched strikes inside Iran. From AWACS, offense is about coherence. Strike aircraft need safe lanes through very crowded skies that include partner activity, defensive caps, tankers, ISR platforms, civilian reroutes, and these airspace closures stack up quickly. Different nations may run separate battle management processes. The E-3 prevents collision. It reduces the chance that defensive shooters mistake friendly strike aircraft for hostile tracks during a wave. It supports escort and counter-air missions by providing early warning of Iranian aircraft or other airborne threats. Even if Iranian air power underperforms, nobody ignores it when tankers and AWACS are airborne. And then comes recovery. A strike ends when every aircraft lands and is accounted for. The E-3 helps manage diversion plans, emergency declarations, damaged aircraft seeking landing slots, and sequencing into congested bases. This is not Cold War air combat. Ballistic missiles compress decision time. Drones and cruise missiles blur identification. Mixed salvos create false confidence. The E-3 does not fire weapons, but it does reduce the time between detection and decision. It keeps defenders from stepping on each other. It helps reveal patterns and salvos across multiple countries. If strikes align with specific political objectives, the air picture may reveal that before headlines do. An AWACS crew lives to simplify chaos. So what does an AWACS crew fear? Well, they fear losing the orbit. If the E-3 has to leave station, the whole force loses a key node. The air picture becomes fragmented and slower to synchronize. They fear fratricide, crowded skies, stressed defenders, split-second calls. All of this produces potential disasters. AWACS exists to reduce that risk. They fear comms degradation. If the network gets jammed, attacked, or saturated, the E-3's ability to coordinate drops fast. In a regional fight, adversaries don't need to win the air war. They need to break the air picture long enough to let leakers through. And then they fear political fallout from defensive success. Reuters reports that shrapnel from a successful interception landed on a civilian and killed him in the UAE. That's a reminder that even good defenses create harm, and the narrative war runs non-stop. So if this conflict continues, the AWACS mission expands. More persistent orbits, more tankers dedicated to sustaining them, more fighter escorts protecting the command and control backbone, more integration with naval and ground-based sensors to build redundancy, and constant prioritization decisions. Defend bases, push fighters toward launch areas, surge coverage around regional hubs. The E-3 does not decide strategy, but it makes strategy executable. People love to talk about fighters and missiles. The real fight is whether everyone sees the same sky. And right now, in a region saturated with missiles and drones and political tension, the E-3 Sentry is the quiet backbone holding that sky together. It can't shoot, but without it, the shooting gets messy fast. And messy skies are where wars spiral. Stay safe out there, my friends. Subscribing is the best free way to support the channel and helps me push back on Russian disinformation in Ukraine's war. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.